Let's talk to the Deputy Leader of Reform, Richard Tice. Really good to see you this morning, Richard. What's your assessment of how this has gone as a state visit?
Well, good morning. And I think that essentially President Trump, he bossed his way around the press conference, sort of patting Starmer on the back and essentially telling him how to run the country with regard to things like immigration, getting rid of the ridiculous windmills, and from that clip that you just heard there, frankly, telling us why London's in a terrible state. And all those things are completely true.
There are, most of the papers today are saying that actually it was a very successful visit. They're saying that Keir Starmer and the President to a certain extent, avoided some of the heffalump traps that could have been there.
Yes, obviously the dinner the night before was incredible, and President Trump loves the whole pageantry, and he loves the United Kingdom. He's a huge supporter of the monarchy, great investor in Scotland, lover of Scotland as well. So, all of that has reinforced the special relationship, which is fantastic. But the bottom line is that he is telling our government, quite rightly, what needs to be done to get this country back on track. And I mean, we just had the government borrowing figures out this morning, and the truth is that the Chancellor won't be affording any canapes, Penny, because we borrowed £18 billion in the month of August alone, some 44% more than the OBR expected when they gave their forecasts out in the spring. And so government borrowing is completely and utterly out of control.
So what's going on? Because when you look at, when you do the comparisons, borrowing, and this is from the Office for National Statistics, so this is accurate. Borrowing over the first 5 months of the financial year is now 83.8 billion, up from 16.2 for the same period last year. So why are we spending so much more money?
That's not quite right. The borrowing for the first 5 months, yes, is 84 billion, 16 billion more than the 67 billion this time last year. So that's a 23% increase. So again, what's going on is that public spending is basically completely out of control. It's almost 10% higher than it was this time last year, primarily because of the significant public sector pay increases and all the related costs, as well as the extra interest, because the bond markets are applying what they call the moron premium to the UK economy. But
do we know how much of that differential between income and expenditure is actually down to reduced tax take?
So the tax take has gone up, I think, by about 4 billion, but the public spending is up substantially more than that. So that's one of the main reasons why the borrowing itself is way higher than expected. And that's what happens if you increased tax rates, then don't be surprised because of a thing called the Laffer curve. You get to a peak where actually all of a sudden people stop taking risks, they stop investing, they stop working. It's no longer worth it. And so the overall tax take doesn't increase as much as the computer model might suggest.
Yeah, I suppose the question that you must have liked was all about immigration and what Trump said, which was essentially get the military in. But genuinely, what could you do if the military were there? What would you actually? What would be the reason for them being there?
Well, because to act as a deterrent, and that's why we announced in August, when everyone else was on holiday, our Operation Restoring Justice. We've got to detain everybody that crosses and put them into remote camps, military camps in remote areas far away from residents, and deport them immediately, either from back to where they came from or to third country destinations. That's our plan. It's the only plan that will work and act as a deterrent. I think since the one in, one out policy was announced, some 10,000 almost have crossed the channel. So it's clearly not a deterrent. And the government lauding, oh, big deal. Wow, folks, we've got another one out. So that's 2.
Except this is part of it, though, isn't it, Richard? I mean, the point is that, we keep on saying that the Labour Party inherited a terrible situation. And part of the issue is that actually everything needs to be processed and the list is just too big.
No, the whole point is you have to have a deterrent. And given that well over 50,000 have crossed the channel since Labour came to power. I think the number is up almost over 40% since the beginning of this year alone. What Labour is doing is actually weakening any deterrent factor, and people have to understand that if they're going to come here illegally, they will be detained and they will be deported pronto. But to do that, you've got to leave the ECHR, you've got to scrap the Human Rights Act, and you've got to get real and get tough. Otherwise, this situation will get worse and worse, and the British people will be angrier and angrier.
Just before we let you go, Richard, Jeremy Kyle says he wants to be a Reform MP. Do you want lie detector tests in the House of Commons?
Well, obviously, everybody has to subject themselves to our strict vetting process, and I look forward to receiving his application.
Right. I'll tell you what, there's a fair bit of scandal and goings on in the House of Commons, so it could make for a good show. Richard,
well, we believe in Christian forgiveness as well.
OK, Richard, it's good to see you. Thank you.